Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to Wikipedia and you can see the polling data on President Trump 2017 August. You'll see that there's a McLaughlin Morning Consult, there's a McLaughlin poll where there's 48% of Americans approve of President Trump. You have a Fox News, 41%. That's the same as Biden, but Biden has tanked. Biden has absolutely tanked to 41% approval rating. Now, you have to take things within a certain context. Every single possible advantage this man has. This man has every single possible advantage. And still, people say no. Trump had the opposite. He had every disadvantage when it came to media. And in some polls, he actually outperformed. You have a Harvard University Harris poll around this time, August 22nd, 43%. So Biden is at 41%. Biden is underperforming Trump in certain polls at this point because of Afghanistan. And the adversaries there said, well, there's a red line. If you cross a red line of August 31st, because Biden and the people handling him, in their infinite wisdom, didn't begin evacuations on January 21st. Okay, so they didn't begin evacuating when they should have on January 21st. Which means, which is the reason we're in this mess. So they decided not to abide by Trump's negotiated deal to bring home Americans and Afghans. Now there are clashes outside the airport. The situation is descending into further chaos and mayhem. It's worse now, not better, worse. The fact that when people say, well, we've brought out over 10,000 people within a couple of days. It's like, well, that shouldn't have happened in the manner that it did. We should have brought those people out in January, and February, and March, and April. Why didn't we do that? And that's an example of the complete, blind spot that a great many Democrats and media have. Now, media, interestingly enough, they've turned a corner. Exclusive, Americans' harsh judgment of Afghanistan costs Biden approval down to 41%. This is very interesting. After 2 decades of combat, Americans are more than 2-1 to say, okay, so obviously we all want to leave, but it's the manner that we left. And God bless the men and women of the American military, armed forces, the veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, of Desert Storm, of Vietnam, Korea, World War II. God bless all the veterans of this country. We owe you a debt of gratitude we can never repay as a country. You've done more to protect us than anyone in Washington, especially Joe Biden, who voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, and presided over the Libya catastrophe. And now you have this. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We'll have a segment, a live stream later tonight, probably around 10 p.m. Pacific. So be here for the live stream. And it's like, you have, of course, he's 87% of Democrats, so you have 13% who've realized. Only 32% of independents say he's doing a good job. I don't even believe, see, these polls, with Trump, you had to basically say, okay, more people like him than the poll. With Biden, you have to say more people dislike him. Because Trump is running a 40-yard dash with a 100-pound backpack. All the time. The fact that his rallies and his speeches now are crowded, even with everything going on, even with 4 years of negative media coverage. And you have to understand, August of 2017, they were saying that he called, 1930s and 1940s Germans fine people. He never said that, even within the transcript. He never said that. Nor did he try to insinuate that. The notion was absurd. It was just as ludicrous as Trump being a Russian operative. But they had nothing there. That was the worst thing going on in the world at that point, and it had nothing to do with Trump. This has everything to do with Biden. And August 31st, he says, well, we're keeping the timeline, and then now there are reports saying we're going to go past the timeline. We can't... If someone told you to leave an apartment in 2 days, okay, there's no way you could just get everything you need out of that apartment, or even 1 day. There's no way, or 1 day, or 2 days, or 3 days. There's no way you can get everything you need out of the apartment. And so what Biden did was to spite Trump, he kept Americans and Afghans there. And where's the talk of cruelty? Where's the talk of Biden's cruelty? Where's the talk of Biden's empathy? Or lack of empathy, I should say. All of this marketing nonsense, this public relations spin. This man is a complete failure. And that's what happens when you're anointed. And when you don't even pretty much, like, you hardly campaign. And when you do open your mouth, it's like a catastrophe. They think there's like some kind of demon inside you, possessed. You know the deal. Come on, man. I mean, this guy, Mashed Potato Brains, is like demonically possessed. And he's mashed potato brains. And he's completely incompetent because the people around him, he very likely doesn't have the ability to tell the people around him to take a hike. Because they're his literal handlers. And hit subscribe, by the way. Also, if you want to support this channel via Super Thanks, the Super Thanks is below. If you want to read my writing on The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, and support my work long term, my Patreon is on hagoodman.com. My Patreon is also in the pinned comment. And by the way, I have an op-ed in The Jerusalem Post. Please go ahead and share it. It's in the pinned comment. The title is Democrats Will Turn on a Certain Person Before 2022. Check it out. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, and you have to really be bad. You have to really, of those 62%, put the responsibility of Afghanistan on George W. Bush. Yeah, of course George W. Bush is to blame. But Biden, only 26% approved of Biden's handling of the withdrawal. Biden is the one who presided over a withdrawal of Americans. Biden is the one who decided not to withdraw Americans in a timely manner, in the manner that Trump negotiated. They're so into multilateral, multinational, cooperation, multilateral organizations. They're so into pictures of leaders shaking hands. And yet, all Biden had to do was abide by Trump's negotiated deal. That's all. This is the most important element, the most important aspect of this entire saga, which is worsening by the day, exponentially. You have the T in that location saying, yeah, if you don't leave by August 31st, you've crossed a red line. And who knows what could happen. This is all on Biden. They gave Trump zero leeway. They blamed Trump for everything under his presidency, for everything under the sun. They made things up and fabricated things. And the smartest people in the room, again, are wrong about everything. And when they're wrong, their arrogance and their hubris, their narcissism, inoculates them. And what takes place is you have the smartest people in the room with egg on their face yet again, wrong yet again. The Lincoln Project people, the same people who voted alongside Bernie Sanders in the Democratic Party, these people now, instead of taking responsibility, because they can't, they're wrong about everything from WMD to Libya to now this, they say, well, and then they pin the blame either on Trump or on the fact we should be even more militant or we should leave Americans there forever. So they justify their horrible ideas with even worse ideas. And at the end of the day, so many people are suffering. So many people are experiencing such trauma. Imagine if you were stuck behind adversary lines in a country you should have been evacuated in January. But Biden needed to spite Trump, so he didn't. hit subscribe right now. Be here tonight for the live stream.